Hey there, welcome back to the channel. Tonight we're in the kitchen doing something just a little bit different yet again. If you recall, a little while ago I put out a video on how to make homemade tomato spaghetti sauce, and in that video I put mine over spaghetti squash as opposed to traditional pasta. Well, I got a few comments and questions about how I cook spaghetti squash, and so I decided to make a video on how to cook spaghetti squash. So sit back, hit the subscribe button, and enjoy the video. So things that are on the counter tonight, we're going to start with this spaghetti squash. This one's pretty big. This is just a little over 6.5 pounds, so rather large spaghetti squash actually. I have a cookie sheet here. I've just stuck some aluminum foil over it so that it's going to be super easy to clean up. Got some just vegetable oil, nothing too crazy, nothing fancy. Peppercorns and salt. A fork. I like to use a pastry brush, but it's not absolutely necessary. And a knife. So what we're going to do to start with is we're just literally going to take it and we're going to try to cut from one end of the spaghetti squash to the other. That's our main goal here. So what I like to do is I like to put the tip of the knife in and force your way down through the end. And once I've done that, I'll turn the knife around, line it back up with the same cut, and I'm going to go right back in. And one reason I do that is so that I follow the same line all the way one end to the other. Your cut doesn't have to be completely even. It's not going to matter a whole lot, but if it's close, it's good. So now that we've cut all the way down this side, I'm just going to turn it and follow it back down to open it all the way up. Once the squash is opened all the way up, a lot of times I'll just take my knife and run around the inside. You can skip this step if you want. I just like to break it loose, break the seeds loose from the edges. And so now that we're here, I'm just going to grab this bowl, come over here, and just rake the seeds and the soft part of the squash out of the inside. It'll be very easy to tell what you're trying to remove because it'll be soft and easy to remove. The rest of the squash is going to stay. That's going to be the meat of what you're trying to eat here. And I like to just go through and make a few cuts down through here so that you can rake the insides the rest of the way out. Once you've done that, we're going to set it aside. We're going to go ahead and do the other one. So now that we have the seeds and such removed, we're going to go ahead and I'm just going to put maybe a teaspoon of oil in the bottom of each one. You don't need a whole lot. I'm going to simply just take the brush. I'm just going to coat all of the surface of the squash. And we're doing that so that the salt and pepper stick to it well. There's nothing crazy about it. You don't have to be fancy with it. You just basically want to rub the oil around. Like I said, you can do this with your fingers if you want, but I just try to keep my fingers clean as possible as long as possible when I'm cooking, because then all the stuff that I touch is clean. Now that we've done that, we can set the brush aside. We're going to go ahead and give it a pretty generous amount of salt. The reason we want to go pretty heavy on the salt is because, like I said, we're cooking nearly 6.5, nearly 7 pounds of squash here, and we're going to be seasoning the entire squash from the inside, kind of like how you season a steak from the outside. And now that we've got the salt on, we're just going to follow back with the pepper. Again, being pretty generous. And this is just cracked peppercorns. Nothing fancy about it. Alright, now that the squash is all seasoned, I'm just going to turn them face down, grab a fork, and we're going to go through and you just want to puncture the surface of the skin. Alright, now that we've poked a bunch of holes so that the steam can come out of it, we're just going to take it and we're going to go straight into the oven. With a squash this size, I'm going to set the oven on about 425, and we're going to check back on it in about 45 minutes. We're back. It's been about 45 minutes, and we just pulled the squash out of the oven. And as you can see, it's nice and steamy in there, and it's starting to take color. So what we're going to do, just to test the squash to see if we think it's done enough, is we're going to go in on the side, and we just want to try to pull it away from the edge here. And as you can see here, you can pull it, and it comes out in long strands. And that's why they call it spaghetti squash, because of the texture and shape of the squash resembles spaghetti. So that's how you properly cook a spaghetti squash. If yours isn't quite done enough and you don't see the nice long strands coming out, or if it's tough, just throw it back in the oven for a little while longer and then check it out later. Alright guys, well that wraps us up for the day. Let me know how yours turns out whenever you make it at home.